All right, quick question. What if I told you that in ancient Rome, your dad could legally choose your husband? Your wedding night might be a political alliance, and love? Love was optional. Yeah, today we're diving into what dating and marriage were really like in ancient Rome, and trust me, it's messier, colder, and way more strategic than you think. Because Rome didn't treat marriage like a love story, they treated it like a power move. Now picture this. You're a 13-year-old Roman girl from a decent family. You're just hitting puberty, you're learning how to manage a household, maybe you're spinning wool, maybe you're being taught how to host guests with grace. And then one day, your father calls you in. He's found you a husband. That's it. No talking stage, no let's see where this goes, no late-night walks by the Tiber. Your father, the paterfamilias, had legal control over your life, and I mean legal control. Roman law gave him power over the entire household. In theory, he could even reject a marriage or force one if it benefited the family. Because in Rome, marriage wasn't about butterflies, it was about alliances. If you were wealthy or politically connected, your marriage could link families, secure business deals, or strengthen political networks. Think less romantic comedy, more corporate merger. Even some of the most powerful men in Rome used marriage strategically. Take Julius Caesar. His daughter Julia wasn't married off for love, she was married to Pompey to secure a political alliance. That's how serious this was. Now here's where it gets interesting. Romans didn't even have a big religious ceremony requirement in the way we think of weddings today. You didn't need a priest signing documents or some massive cathedral moment. Marriage in Rome was at its core about consent between families. If both sides agreed and the couple intended to live as husband and wife, boom, married. That's it. But don't get it twisted. The wedding day still had drama. Roman brides wore a white tunic tied with a special knot called the Knot of Hercules. It symbolized fertility and strength, and only the husband was supposed to untie it on the wedding night. She wore a bright orange veil called the flammeum. Imagine walking through the streets, everyone watching, knowing you're about to leave your childhood home forever. Because that's what marriage meant for a Roman woman. You left your father's house, you joined your husband's household, and your primary job? Produce legitimate children, especially sons, because sons carried the family name, inherited property, and continued the lineage. And if you're thinking, okay, but what about love? Hold on. Love wasn't irrelevant, it just wasn't the foundation. Some Roman couples genuinely grew to care for each other over time. Letters from soldiers and husbands show affection and longing, but society didn't expect romance first, stability first, family honor first, children first. Everything else was a bonus. Now let's talk about age gaps. Roman men typically married in their mid to late 20s, sometimes even older if they were building a career. Women? Often between 12 and 16. Yeah. That imbalance meant the husband usually had more life experience, more power, more control. And speaking of control, Roman marriage came in different legal forms. In early Rome, there was something called manus marriage. That meant the wife legally passed into her husband's control. She was no longer under her father's authority, she now belonged legally to her husband's family. Her property? His. Her legal standing? Dependent on him. But later on, something shifted. A different form became more common, marriage sine manus, and this changed everything. In a sine manus marriage, the wife remained legally part of her father's family. She could own property, she could inherit wealth, she wasn't absorbed into her husband's legal authority. And this is where Roman women, especially elite ones, started gaining quiet power. Some wealthy Roman women controlled large estates, they managed finances, they influenced politics behind the scenes. Take Livia Drusilla, wife of Augustus. She wasn't just a decorative spouse, she advised him, built networks, and became one of the most influential women in Roman history. So while Roman society was patriarchal, absolutely, elite women weren't always powerless. Now let's flip to dating, or what passed for dating. Spoiler alert, there wasn't much of it. Respectable Roman women were expected to be modest and protected. Elite girls especially didn't casually mingle with men. Social gatherings existed, sure. Banquets happened, festivals were wild. But public flirting? Risky. Reputation was everything. Men, on the other hand? Different story. Roman men were allowed far more freedom. Affairs with enslaved women, prostitutes, or lower status partners were common and socially tolerated as long as it didn't threaten legitimate heirs. Yes, double standard. Massive one. A married woman caught in adultery could face divorce, social disgrace, and even legal penalties under laws introduced by Augustus. Meanwhile, a husband stepping outside the marriage, often overlooked. Because again, the system was designed to protect lineage. Marriage wasn't about emotional exclusivity, it was about producing legitimate citizens. Now here's something that might surprise you. Divorce in Rome was actually easy. Like, surprisingly easy. There was no long legal battle required. In many periods, either spouse could initiate divorce. Sometimes it was as simple as declaring the intention to separate in front of witnesses. And it wasn't necessarily scandalous. Elite Romans divorced and remarried all the time. In fact, political careers sometimes depended on it. Even Cicero divorced his wife Terentia after decades of marriage. And remarriage was common, especially if alliances shifted. So if you're imagining lifelong fairy tale monogamy across Rome, not exactly. Marriage was practical, flexible, transactional. But here's where the human side sneaks in. We found tombstones, real inscriptions, where husbands call their wives most faithful, sweetest, light of my life. That's not politics, that's real emotion. Despite the system being strategic, people were still people. They fell in love, they grieved, they wrote poetry. Speaking of poetry, Roman writers weren't shy about romantic drama. Just look at Ovid, who basically wrote an ancient dating manual called Ars Amatoria, the art of love. He gave advice on where to meet women, how to flirt at public games, how to maintain attraction. It was scandalous enough that Augustus eventually exiled him. So yes, romance absolutely existed in Rome. It just lived in tension with social expectations. Now here's something we rarely mention: power inside the household. A Roman wife, especially in a sine manus marriage, could become the emotional and logistical backbone of the home. She supervised servants, managed food supply, oversaw education of young children. If her husband was away, maybe serving in the legions, she could effectively run the estate. Some women became extremely wealthy widows and never remarried. Why? Because widowhood could mean independence. No father, no husband, just control over property. That's a plot twist most people don't expect. And here's another layer. Marriage rates were actually a concern for the Roman state. During Augustus's rule, laws were passed encouraging marriage and childbirth among elites. Penalties even existed for remaining unmarried too long. The government literally tried to regulate your life because Rome needed citizens, needed heirs, needed stability. So if you zoom out, you realize something kind of wild. Roman marriage wasn't just personal, it was political, economic, demographic. It was part of the machinery of empire. And yet, inside those marble houses, behind those courtyard walls, you still had two humans figuring each other out, sometimes arranged, sometimes strategic, sometimes inconvenient, sometimes unexpectedly beautiful. So next time you think modern dating is complicated, just imagine being 14, married to a 28-year-old senator, expected to produce heirs while your father negotiates alliances over dinner. Ancient Rome wasn't just gladiators and emperors. It was awkward first nights, power struggles, political weddings, secret love affairs, strategic divorces. It was human, messy, and way more modern than we like to admit. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the real lives behind the empire, stick around, because Rome, it always has another secret. And trust me, you haven't heard the half of it.